You were listening to episode 70 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by my good friend Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we seek revenge for Longclaw in today's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
All right, let's go ahead and open up this episode, dude. Did you have any pickups in the last week?
I sure did, John.
Did you really?
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about this week. Part of it we'll get to, and
that doesn't count. Okay, two of those count. One of those I'm questioning. I truly do question it.
So, like everybody, we're going to be talking about it later, but I got the FF7 Demo for Remake.
That's what I was talking about, folks.
And then,
I don't know if that counts.
And then I also did get the PlayStation Plus games this month because I thought that they were totally worth downloading. So I got Sonic Forces and Shadow of the Colossus for PS4.
Okay, so coincidentally, I too got Shadow of the Colossus on the PlayStation 4, and I also got Sonic Forces and the Final Fantasy VII demo, which we'll talk about in a little bit. In addition to those random free items, speaking of free, buy two, get two free at GameStop. I think that ends yesterday. Saturday the 7th, so you can't do it anymore. But they were doing for
follow us on Twitter, where you can find out if we're taking part of those deals when they're actually happening.
Oh, I didn't post that on Twitter.
Well, never mind.
Yeah, okay, but it's at Game Deflators for that one. So I picked up buy two get two free. It was Wii U, PS3, 360, DS, 3DS. And I think that was it. Oh,
all
and Wii,
games.
And Wii. Not all games. It was just games that were previous generations.
Okay.
Because I don't think you can count Wii as last generation anymore. No. So I picked up on the DS, and unfortunately, all of these were loose except for Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS. But I picked up...
And Shin Megami.
And Shin Megami Tensei, yeah. Oh, and NES Remix. So yeah, I got Castlevania Portrait of Ruin and Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. And let's see, Dragon Quest 4, Dragon Quest 5, Dragon Quest 7 complete, and then Dragon Quest 9 loose as well. Shin Megami Tensei, I think 4, if I'm correct, on the 3DS. The NES Remix Pack was my other one as well. I had been looking for that for a while, and I finally got it at a pretty good price. So the cool thing about this is I initially went to one GameStop to kind of look around for, any DS games they might have had. I didn't see anything. I was kind of under that thing of I want to just find Dragon Quest 7 and 8 since they were the most recent ones that they released. And essentially just asked the guy at the GameStop, I'm like, hey, can you just look for Dragon Quest at any local GameStop in the area and let me know if they have it? And so he ended up finding Dragon Quest 4, and I'm like, oh, well, tell him to hold 4 aside for me. Okay, cool, it's at this location. I get there, and some guy had recently turned in all of his Dragon Quest games.
What possesses a man?
Well, what possesses a man to not keep the cases is what I don't understand. So,
well, maybe he picked them up used somewhere too.
Maybe, that is true. But here's what's scary, all right? So I paid $100 for all of his stuff, okay? The Dragon Quest 4 is like a $45 game, loose, okay? Dragon Quest 5 is like 65 to 70 loose. Okay, so that's $100 right there.
Is it really?
Yeah, loose, like complete.
For the DS game?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've been looking for them, because they're so flippin' pricey, and I want to play them, but I don't want to pay that much money. So I ended up picking up Dragon Quest 4 for $20. All right. I ended up picking up number 5 for $25, and then 7 was like 24 or 15. I can't remember, and then 9 was also like 24.
Dang.
Actually, I think all 4 of those are $24, if I correct, outside of 4, which was 20. Absolutely shocking, the price point on that, right? So, like, that alone is my money back tenfold. Maybe not tenfold. But the cool thing about it is I picked up all the other games, since there was, 1, 2, 3, 4 Dragon Quests, and then there was the Portrait of Ruin, and the other, I'm like, all right, I got to get some other games here. But
you got 4 games, and you got 4 for free.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it was, typically if these deals, when you go up and you're like, hey, here's everything, they're like, okay, you've got like 4 of them at like $25, and all of these are $29, so these are free. So I looked at the guy, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do separate transactions. He's like, all right, cool, like no problem. most people would probably be like, oh, you can't do that, something along those lines, which I can just say I'm paying different cards.
Them just giving you the best deal,
yeah,
out of what they can do,
but
is
it was
what
like
they should do.
No questions asked from this GameStop employee. He was just like, yeah, dude, like, okay.
Is this the
like,
one that you went to last time? You said you went to GameStop and you had a really good like interaction. Are you going to that same one?
No, so we actually happened to be in Chandler.
Okay.
Where were we going? I don't remember the reason why we were in Chandler.
Was this the one over by the Target?
No, so this one was off of like Cooper and McQueen or something, or
I've never been there.
Cooper and Warner. It was so random. I didn't even know there was one over there. But we happened to be over on AZ Ave, over by that Walmart. Yeah. We were picking up, I think it was we were picking
whatever.
up, yeah, stuff, and then basically went into the GameStop that was there, which I've had decent experiences at. The one I've had a really good experience at is the one that's over by Superstition Springs. So that one's been pretty good in the mall there. But no, this guy was like super cool. He was like, yeah, look, I'll help you kind of figure it out. So we like sat back, grabbed all the $24.99 and like the $29.99 and like put it all together. And we're like, okay, cool. Like these two are going to be free, and then put the other two together. So it was basically like paying the least amount I possibly could. And I was out of there for, I think it was like just under 100 for everything. And
that's a really good deal.
Yeah,
I mean, especially
really
with how much some of those you're saying they are.
Yeah, dude, like I was shocked.
Do you have much familiarity with any of these? Like, you've never really played any of these titles?
The Dragon Quest series, I mean, I played some Dragon Warrior. It's one that I just haven't really got. I knew how many games were in the series and how it all kind of progressed, over time. And I don't know necessarily the story or anything along those lines and how that all works together. But I recently saw that Dragon Quest movie, and that right away I was like, man, like I've got to just play the games. Like I have to get into the series. Like I'm in the Final Fantasy, but I never did really look at Dragon Quest and give it like that second look.
Yeah, I played the Dragon Quest monster games.
Yeah, and I was looking for those too.
Dragon Warrior Monster or whatever.
Yeah, there's like two of them, and I was looking for those two but couldn't find them. So yeah, I've been wanting to play these, and I'll probably end up, in all honesty, selling some of these games so that way I could, get the cases for the Dragon Quest, which I hate to do because Portrait of Ruin's actually pretty rare as well. Ecclesia, I don't think as much. But yeah, Portrait of Ruin's like a $40-$50 game, I think.
I only played the first Castlevania DS, the Dawn of Sorrow. That was awesome. I really liked that game. I got the manual for it, and it was cool because like it's that whole second half of the game is in the upside down castle, so it's like you actually flip the book over, and going through the book the other way was like the second half of the game.
Nice. Yeah, dude, when GameStop has these types of deals going down, I'm always in there right away, dude. Anything that's like 4 for $60 on like games of 30 plus or $24.99, always take advantage of that when you can if you're listening, because I mean you honestly could just take a game that on their shelf is selling used $24.99, sell it online, you lose a few bucks, but at the end of the day you're almost breaking even, and it's not a bad way to kind of boost up your collection for like newer titles.
Make the system work for you, folks.
Exactly. So anything that you're playing right now?
Okay, so I did not have a lot of gaming in me this week. I was a little under the weather, which should be prime time for gaming, but I just wanted to sleep instead. I did mess around trying to do the Gehrman fight at the end of Bloodborne, and like I said, I just messed around. Like I feel kind of stupid a little bit. Like I kind of wish that instead of putting like 15 points into Arcane and 12 points into Blood Tinge and just to be able to get these other weapons, kind of wish I just had some more stamina because my stamina is pretty low. But
I heard your wife says that too.
I mean, it doesn't really seem like it's that hard of a fight. Like I died like a bunch just messing around to him with the Chikagne or whatever, the samurai sword with the blood mode.
Yeah.
And like just trying to get a feel for the weapon against the final boss, nothing too bad, and get my ass handed to me. And I'll finish it up at some point and get serious and get in there. It's just a matter of doing it. Like I know it's going to take me a few dozen tries to like really take it seriously, but just messing around, it was fine. And then
we'll get into that second one.
Yeah,
next.
We'll get into that second one. How about you?
Okay, so for me, I was playing some more Shenmue. It's been about a week since I actually we're in a week now. So after our last episode recording, I went ahead and booted up Shenmue and played a little bit. And I got to, let's see, so I'm in the docks already, and I talked to, I think it was Master Shen, if I'm correct, and I needed to get out to China. Right now, I don't want to go to China, but in the Shenmue game, I want to go to China. And so I ended up picking up my ticket. And, well, no, I didn't pick up the tickets. So the way it works out is you don't have enough money to go to higher price route. So you had to go to like the cheaper option, and you start talking to people like after you've given your money. You're like, hey, so this particular business, like, have you worked with them before? Oh, I heard so and so was conned out of their money and they took everything, or his whole trip was terrible. And so I go to talk to the guys like, oh yeah, they're con artists, like they'll try to take your money. I'm like, okay. So the time comes around, I go off to the location and they're like, well, we don't have your ticket. Like, what are you talking about? We don't have any of your money. I'm like, are you kidding me? So we get into the whole like, QT type event, and end up, getting to a situation where, okay, we'll get your ticket and everything. We'll bring it here. Meet us at the arcade at X time. Like, why would you like meet them at this location at X time for your ticket? Like, does that not seem shady to you, Ryu? Like,
Ryu's
really?
too trusting. He's too pure for this
way,
world.
Way too trusting, dude. It's just like, oh yeah, I don't have it here, but meet us at like 11 o'clock at the arcade and we'll meet you there. And then like you get jumped. Okay, meet us here at whatever time. And then you get jumped again. I'm like, how trusting can you be? Like, how about meet me at your place of business and I will see you there with my ticket in hand? And who gives all that money up front to have a ticket purchased? Like, wait there. It doesn't take that long to purchase. It's just the craziest thing. I think the game takes place in like the 80s or something. So maybe that was a process back then. I don't know. But he's way too damn trusting.
I mean, they used to have like, I remember like travel agents being a thing in sitcoms.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Oh,
and I don't know that they have travel agents like that. I mean, I guess they do.
Yeah, I mean, they still have travel agents. I don't know who uses them. But so there's this like crazy like Voldo looking guy that doesn't have the mask or anything. Like, he's just weird looking. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that guy. And he's part of a Mad Angels gang. And so you walk into the arcade to get your ticket and he eats the ticket. And I'm like, what? And he's like, Master Shen will be so happy. Or not Master Shen, but Master whatever the bad guy is. He's like, he'll be so excited that I did this and everything. I'm like, you just ate my ticket. Like, literally just ate my ticket. Could you not just tear it up? Like, just chomping down. So now the whole thing is like trying to find out who the Mad Angels are and going across the docks and getting a job. And I just started using a forklift and I did a motorcycle race. So yeah, it's the game's all over the place.
Coming along.
It's coming along. I guess what, like 40-50% through the game. So I'm hoping to have it beat here in the next several weeks so I can get the hell out of it and I can start playing something else like, I don't know, maybe Arc Vlad 3.
There you go.
So we'll see. I talk a lot. Your turn.
Yeah, just the Bloodborne, but we both, along with everybody else who plays games or does games media, I'm sure everybody's heard all that they can stand to hear about Final Fantasy VII Remake, but we both played the demo.
I finished it this morning.
I finished it yesterday morning, and then I watched somebody else do a playthrough, and then I watched my wife do a playthrough. And then I caught the end of John's playthrough. It's awesome. I love it. I think it's great, and I hope to God that they don't do what they did with the FF15 demo that came out with Type O, and then go in and change stuff that was better in the demo version, because I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought there was like a lot of room to be able to grow.
Well, I think this is kind of too. I think this is too late in the life of the game for a demo to do that, because the game releases in what, April?
Well, I mean, this is the third demo that they've had, and this is not the first version of this part of the demo in that boss fight. Other people in the industry have talked about like having played this at E3 and other events, and it's always changing, and I'm sure that it's too close to change much now, but you never know.
Yeah, they could push it back and do, like you said, a Final Fantasy 15 or even a Kingdom Hearts 3 and make us wait 15 years.
Right.
Jeez. So yeah, dude, I played the demo this morning as well. I liked it. It wasn't bad. I was trying to get used to the whole like switching between characters and doing that whole deal. I was super tempted to just put classic mode on there, just because
I've heard that it's not good.
Really?
That's what I've heard. I've heard that it's not good.
Interesting. Okay. Well, the battle situation, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. Going kind of into the nitty gritty of things, attacking, it felt like Final Fantasy 15, but you're able to slow down the pace when you hit, X. and you have your ATB bar filled up. So it's like, all right, cool. I can make decisions on what I want, and I can switch between characters, and, you know, pending the situation, here's what I'm going to do. I just wonder, like, you know, how difficult it's going to be to, you know, get through like random encounters and all of that.
It seems like that there'll be a lot of, I mean, from this demo, there were no random encounters. Like, all of these enemies were specifically placed. There was no real room. And that's one of the questions that that I have, and I've heard somebody else, I can't think of who it was now, mention it before, but like, there's got to be, you know, some type of random encounter, or at least some way to, you know, I doubt they're going to pump enough story into this game to get away from, like, you know, making combat the main way that you're interacting with the game. And
I wonder if they're going to go through like kind of that Final Fantasy 15 route. I mean, honestly, I haven't looked enough into this game to be like, oh yeah, I know all the insides and outs on combat and their ideas and what they're doing. But, you know, just kind of on the outside of us looking in, I wonder if they'll make it more of that 15 route where, you know, you have your missions that help you boost experience, and you have, it's not necessarily random encounters, but you kind of, you know, go through the world and you find different enemies and such in different areas like you would in the random encounter aspect. It's just, you see them. Yeah, you see them in advance and you can run away.
I mean, and it makes a lot of sense in the city, like, especially if, you know, like, if Shinra's gonna still be after you, like, to see like a squad walking down the street and then you engage with them. And, you know, we got that little cinematic clip that comes after you beat the demo, and right before they ask you to buy which version you would like. You get an idea of what it's gonna kind of feel like going through the city, and it looks very dynamic, where you're going up a street and then all of a sudden a truck comes around the corner and you're starting to get surrounded. And I'm very interested to see what it's going to be like in the city of Midgar, but I think that that's going to set us up for kind of a whole different game. Like, I have a feeling that this first game is going to feel real different compared to the rest of them in the series, because it's only the city, and you're only going to be figuring out, like, what are these dynamics that we're getting into in this type of setting. And as soon as you leave Midgar, I don't think you ever go back to Midgar in the original game.
Dude, it's been like 10-15 years, I think, since I beat Final Fantasy 7.
So if they block you off from ever going back there and still being able to see it on the world map like in the original games, like, it'll make sense to have it be its own section of the game, because you won't ever have to, like, be on another disc and then load in this whole giant city that you built. But I'm real interested to see, like, if there are going to be less random encounters and more staged encounters, how is that going to limit your potential to move on? Like, if it's going to be 2 years in between these games, can I just play this game for that whole 2 years, grind all the way up to level 99, max out all the materia that I have, and then once the next game launches, it's like, well, I guess I'm already at the max level, and you just don't gain anything from playing the rest of the game at that point? Like, how's that transition going to happen? Like, how are they going to handle grinding? It'll be interesting to see. And
I was gonna mention that when I played Final Fantasy 7, I had Omni Slash on disc 1. So for me, a lot of that game moving forward was super easy. And I think I grinded to, like, I think you had to be level 35 if I'm correct to get Omni Slash. So I grinded to about level 35 or 40, something around those lines within the first game. You can actually get Eris her limit break, her final limit break as well, if you grind super hard. So yeah, it could be a situation where, hey, we're going to be releasing this game in 2 years or so, which is super, like, high end, you know, trust in Square Enix to release a game 2 years apart. Like, I can't see us coming out for another 3-4 years.
Well, look at all the episodic time that it took for the Life is Strange games to kind of conclude themselves.
Well, that's true. I mean, and that really isn't that bad. in terms of time frame, like especially.
But it's a whole different kind of scope of project.
Yeah, exactly.
And that took them long enough to turn around those.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of it was just like the development process and kind of the technology around them. That's why it's taken so long to get to where we are now from that initial like, cinematic experience we had years ago, where they just kind of showcase like, hey, here's what we're doing. And we hadn't heard about it for like another 10 years. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the level progression, how that works. I would imagine it's going to be just like, I don't see them doing a level cap. I can't see that, but I could see it being where once you hit a certain level, it just doesn't make it worth it to continue playing.
Well, and what happens for people, I mean, you'd have to be some kind of gamer to be like, I'll skip the Midgar section. I'm just going to buy the second game and start there. How will that work? How will people be able to jump into the middle of a full release game that's going to be coming out eventually as part 2 or 3 or 4? Like, these are going to have to be full retail launches from the way that they're hyping this up.
So it's been a while since I actually did this, but when I played the Dot Hack series, and I still have to beat number 3 and 4, so I might just replay the whole series. So playing Dot Hack 1 to Dot Hack 2, you progress with all of your items, every special item you had, your character fully leveled, other characters you had fully leveled. Now, if I were to just boot up number 2, I wouldn't have all those items, and I would start at a base level that was adequate for the game at that period of time. So, say for instance, I had to be level 32 to start number 2. You would start at level 32, and you'd have like the basic like weapons that you would need already fully powered to start you in the game, but you wouldn't have all those really cool items. You wouldn't have all the backstory. You wouldn't have any of that. So who knows? They may put a block and just be like, no, you have to play number 1 to be able to play number 2.
That would be some shit.
That would be, kind of crazy. But, what gamer wants to jump into Final Fantasy VII on just disc 2, or even just disc 3? Like, it's not worth it. And you miss out on all the summons you could pick up and all the materia and everything else. Like, it just wouldn't seem worthwhile to start on disc 2. That being said, I don't intend on playing this until after I think back when it was first announced, they were saying 3 episodes to represent 3 discs.
Well, we've got an interesting article covering that today. This is from Game Rant by Rob Dolan, predicting how many episodes Final Fantasy VII Remake will have. This was a really good article. He talks a lot in here about what seems like good, logical places in the story to kind of break this down, and in his opinion, it looks like it's probably going to be 4 episodes. And I think that the way he decides to separate it, I think it makes a lot of sense to use those places, especially if, starting off the game, Midgar is going to be all of the first act, game of this remake. And in the original, Midgar was about half of the first disc. So, and in the original, it seemed to me like the final disc was basically just Golden Chocobo, Knights of the Round, fight Sephiroth. So if they turn that into the final game and they kind of short it out at the end, I hope that they're able to spread this content and beef up all these games to feel good and substantial, without having it be turned into way too bogged down by adding too much side questing or something, or getting away from the core of it, what people really want, adding too much. There's got to be a good middle ground, and I hope that they have enough time to find that over the next however many years.
The one thing you have to consider, though, with that third disc is all of the stuff that was on that third disc. So when you're doing disc 1, you're only kind of limited to that one area, right?
Yeah.
Disc 2, you're limited to a certain area. But disc 3, you got this battle and everything else, but you have
can
the
go back
whole
to all
world.
the map.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's that third disc is really built out primarily to continue your level building, get your material locked up and squared away. If you're battling, I think you can battle the weapons in disc 3, if I'm correct. Going back to the Golden Saucer, all of these different things that you could do in the game, it's all in there. The chocobo breeding, the racing, all of that is in disc 3. And there's some end battle stuff, and that's obviously the end battle disc. but I could see why that particular disc had to happen. Like, you want to do all this stuff? Well, you kind of have to have a third disc. They probably could have done 2 discs if they didn't have all the open world and just kept it linear.
Yeah.
So I think it'll probably, I wish it was 3 discs, but I think it'll be 4, to your point. And also because they're going to milk the hell out of this.
Point.
Okay, to Rob's point. But they're going to milk the hell out of this. If I can get $240 out of somebody for one game that I'm creating, then yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think that you're right to, at least from a buyer's standpoint, I think it's definitely going to be worth it to wait for, the Final Fantasy VII Remake complete all the discs in one box definitive edition.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'm wondering too, like, if it's going to be 4 discs, it's going to be at least 4 years, probably closer to 8 years, for the completion time of getting all these products out and played.
But here's the other thing to consider too, though, is that from a development standpoint, you're developing the first disc right now, or first part of the game, and then say you finish in 6 years, where's the game going to be graphically at that point?
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Like, there's going to be changes, especially with the launch of the PS5. Like, the 4th disc is probably not going to be, well, is it? Can you start a series that's supposed to be one game, but is now a series, and release those cross-generationally? In a way that it's like, if you own disc 1, you're physically unable to finish that game by disc 4 because it's a PS5 and not a PS4, and you haven't made the upgrade.
Well, here's the thing. PS5 will be out this year, and the game's coming out on PS4. So you already know damn well that they're going to release Final Fantasy VII on PS4, and then you're going to see a re-release on the PlayStation 5, and they'll finish out the life cycle of this game on the PS5.
Yeah.
There's no way that you can't, for one thing, you can't put it all on PS4. They're not going to do that. They might do it for the first 2 games, and then they're going to say, oh yeah, by the way,
we've got all this power we're not using.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and finish on the PS5, and we're going to go ahead and take the first 2 games, and we're going to upgrade them a little bit to put it on the PlayStation 5. So, like, there's no reason I would ever want to buy this game right now, given that it's going to be on PS4 and a new console's coming out. There's no reason to.
Well, I can give you some good news, John.
Huh.
There are going to still be games worth buying on the PS4, and you've actually already purchased
I'm so excited.
one of them.
So excited. And
what did you open us into this next one?
Oh, I'm a sucker. I picked up the Ghost of Tsushima Collector's Edition with the mask. I don't even know if this thing's limited. I've just been wanting this game to come out since forever. When this and Sekiro were announced, those were like my 2.
Oh.
If there's a collector's edition, I'm flipping buying those collector's
Samurais
editions.
and ninjas invaded in 2018 our minds.
God, dude, like, look, Sekiro is amazing. I love the Sucker Punch studio, so I'm hoping that Tsushima is going to be great. It looks great from all the videos I've seen. The story looks good, and I just have a lot of faith in that studio to pull this game off. And dude, that collector's edition looks pretty cool. So getting a little mask and stand and everything, it's going to be awesome. I don't like what I paid for it, but the benefit is if this
it's already done.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You already did it. You don't have to worry about doing it again.
Well, the benefit is if this game comes out and they have like a ton of copies on hand at like a Best Buy, I still have like 30 days for my return policy. Or it's like, hey, Walmart, here's my game. I just found it at Best Buy for like $50 less now. So, it might be a while before I crack this baby open, but I'm excited.
Yeah, so this comes to us from an article by Giuseppe Nelva of Twinfinite. This is Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2 show. There's no rush for Sony to reveal the PS5. And, I'm getting tired of every week I go on and it's like, new PS5 leaks or new PS5 rumors. And it's like, just substantiate it all. Just come out so I stop having to see the same clickbaity headlines every week.
Well, and it hurts for us because we report on this stuff on a week-to-week basis. So we're seeing like new leaks. It's like, it's not that different from the last one.
It's still not as floppy.
Yeah, that's why we haven't talked about, well, I think we might have talked PS5 last time, but it's more in the excitement of it than it wasn't like a new leak that came out.
Well, it's so funny the way that all of this is being handled. It's easy to lose sight that we do have games like Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2, and the fact that neither console is really committing to a hard launch of ending content and only generating new content. Like both the PS4 and the PS5 will be supported for years to come, and so will the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. Those will also both be supported for the next few years moving on. So this kind of trickle effect of not having to make that jump to get the newest best stuff makes a lot of people feel a lot safer in waiting and not necessarily jumping the gun. And I feel like he does a good job talking in this article about how, you know, Xbox is jumping all over the place, throwing out all these new, you know, content or of what the system is actually capable of. And Sony's the leader. I mean, the PS5 is the most successful console of PS4 is the most successful console of last generation. And, you know, they're still doing good numbers and they're still going to be putting out new games. And it's not necessarily a game that they have to pander to or play to because they already have the high ground, Anakin.
Oh my God. So I before I go into my point on what I saw on Facebook the other day, this is also another thing on Facebook. It said that Obi-Wan truly never wanted the high ground. I don't know if you saw this, but in multiple battles, like with Darth Maul, he coaxed them to taking the high ground so he could take the low ground. He didn't defeat Anakin on the high ground. Anakin had to take the high ground. Obi-Wan tricked him. He's the greatest troll of all time.
There you go.
So the thing I saw... Troby-1. So the thing I saw recently was a PC Master Race person was slamming somebody on a PlayStation forum about how, well, they didn't have to buy a brand new console every 4 years. I'm like, who the hell is buying a brand new console every 4 years? Like, we just lost support for the PS2, like, 3 years ago in Japan? And, you know, they just knocked out online for it, 3-4 years ago, and it just celebrated its 20th anniversary. Like, they had 16 years of mild support tied to it. It has a ton of great games. The system itself, before PlayStation 3 came out, had 10 years of support total, releases and stuff occurring. So I just don't understand where people get this mindset of consoles are this terrible thing.
Well, it's because Nintendo has an off release cycle from everybody else. So it seems like every 4 years a new console generation starting up, but it's really just Nintendo doing their thing on their own timeline.
Yeah, because I'm going to have my PlayStation 4. How long have I had it now? 4 or 5 years, I think. It's been out for a number of years. Sony's still going to support it 4 or 5 years from now. We're getting brand new games the same year as something else is coming out. And you'll still see, cross-platform titles for a while. I'll still see games at a game store. I don't know if GameStop will still be around in the next year. And I'm still going to be playing
Hopefully we get some of those GameStop 2.0s. Reference last week's episode if you didn't hear about that.
Check out that one. So, yeah, dude, I honestly, I don't understand the whole PC thing. You got to buy a video card every now and then. You've got a monitor, a new keyboard.
But I mean, for the price somebody spends on their video card, you could buy another couple shelves worth of collection for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So I have a PlayStation 2 that I still play and a PS3 that I still play. Yeah, you can still play all those games on your PC, but sometimes PCs over time, you can't play older games. You have to pick up older PCs to play them just because of all the things that are in place. So it's interesting, and I saw that recently. So I think, like you said, man, PS4 is going to be supported. PS5 will be supported for another 10 years, and then we probably won't see another console after that. Yeah, it's all going to be digital at that point.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes from there. So, speaking of having to buy older consoles to be able to play games, for anybody who didn't know about the secret history of the world and the things that never happened, there is a Nintendo PlayStation, and it's been around for a few years. It's been making the tours and being shown at various cons and events, and it just sold for $360,000 to the original owner of Pets.com.
And Toys.com. Now, that man made his money off the .com boom where you could just make a website and sell it for a ton of money. Not so common now. This one's by Shannon Liao of CNN. And Ryan, if Twitter has taught me anything, this is fake news. You might have to get another source.
Well, Greg McElmore definitely bought this, and he bought it for like we said before, $360,000.
And he said he got a good price.
Yeah, he said it was a terrific price for him. And I tried to look up the other most expensive like video game collectibles, and they don't really even come close. I mean, at most like a third of what he spent on this, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, this man had money to burn, and he burned it on a one-of-a-kind, unique piece of history that, I mean,
if you look at it from...
this is beyond Holy Grail.
Yeah, if you kind of look at it, it's like a Mona Lisa to, you know, an art collector. Like, there's only one. I mean, you know, if all paintings there are only one, right? But, like, that's like...
it's like the one.
Yeah, the one, right? Like, everybody wants
legendary.
the one. Yeah, so, like, for video game collectors, this would be the one. So, like, this guy is basically taking something that, you know, belongs in a video game museum, and he's like, screw you all.
It belongs in a museum.
It belongs in my house. So, yeah, it's really cool, but $360K is a lot. But if you start considering how much, like, artwork sells for in the millions for that type of stuff,
yeah,
it's not bad when you think about it in that perspective.
That's the one thing. It's still a very niche collection of
so is art,
what people are going to be willing to pay for, you know, a physical utilitarian item. Like, that's kind of the breaking point between like art and other memorabilia, is that like memorabilia was made like kind of, I mean, this obviously was not made as like a preservative piece of, you know, technology. It was just a prototype that got stowed away somewhere and somebody got super lucky buying it. But yeah, like things that are created for like the idea of art is like, it's really just so rich people can perpetuate their money in other ways. Like, it's diversifying to be protected, so they all decide and agree that it's all worth so much money.
Yeah, I can see that. It's still, dude, it's still a really cool piece of history. There was like 300 or 400 that were made, and they were all destroyed except for this one, apparently. So somebody out there had the peace of mind to be like, you know, there's only one of these left. I'm going to just kind of take this under my shirt and walk out of here. Like,
yeah, there were 200 total.
200 total that were made, and then they were all destroyed except this one. So definitely an interesting piece of history. I damn well would not pay $360,000 for something like that.
It looks so
if
cool.
I had the money, I might.
I like the way that it looks.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. We'll have the article, and if you haven't seen this thing yet, I'd be surprised, but we'll have an article and pictures.
If you have seen it and interacted with it, let us know what you thought about it.
Have people actually interacted with this
thing?
thing?
Yeah, they've taken it around to like cons and stuff.
Gotcha. How do they maintain this thing? I guess they just...
with a hope and a prayer.
It's crazy. What else do we have on this? Did we have anything else on this article?
No, so that's it for the Nintendo PlayStation. It sold for a crap ton of money. That's it.
There was somebody else, the founder of Oculus.
He was in the bidding war.
He was bidding it up, and he's like, who the hell's bidding this up? Like, I'm the highest bidder right now. Who are you crazy nuts bidding with me?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's get into the organization that was on the outside looking in of this partnership between Sony and Nintendo, and that's Sega. And so we're looking at Sonic 3D Blast on the Sega Saturn.
In this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge. But first, we have to talk about the Sonic movie.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So we've both seen the Sonic movie now. I know we kind of missed the boat on this a little bit.
No,
hopefully
you missed the boat, sir. I saw it when it came out.
Hopefully everybody else has seen it by now, and we don't have to do like a big spoiler warning thing. I know I've already had to duck a couple podcasts before I saw it, but oh my gosh, I'm going to throw a bold statement out there and say that this is the best video game movie to come out since the Pokemon movie.
As in, like, the original 2000...
The original, like, Mewtwo Strikes Back Pokemon movie.
Did you see Netflix actually has that up as, like, a 3D...
They made, like, a 3D version of it. No, I haven't seen that yet. I heard about it before it came out.
So, I would actually probably stick with you on this, man. I
haven't been this nostalgia.
I thought this Sonic movie was fantastic, dude. It was really good.
And I don't even have nostalgia for Sonic. Like,
no, I don't either. It was
playing
just a
Sonic
good movie.
here today for the Inflation Deflation was one of my best memories of playing Sonic. and it just happened. So to see like all of the effort that was put into this, like I can't believe how well it won me over. Like right from jump, I was just like, the long claw thing was a little weird. Like the origin thing was a little weird that he's like an alien. But I love the like,
well, you saw the
echidna ninja army coming after him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I love Tails at the end.
Oh my god, yeah. Okay, so well, we just kind of spoiled it for somebody out there. But yeah, so
we said we didn't have to do that.
That's true.
Because I'm the last person on Earth who saw this.
If they were listening at the beginning, they could have skipped all of this. So basically, the whole thing with Tails at the end was amazing. Like, the movie was good, and then right when it happened, I like threw my arms up, and all these people from New Zealand were looking at me kind of funny, wondering why I'm throwing my arms up. And yeah, my wife was like, "What the hell are you so excited about?" I'm like, "It's Tails!" Like,
yeah,
come on, like this is great.
Yeah, I thought that I've heard people say that the human partner, Donut Lord, was not that great. I thought he was great. I thought like
he was all right.
All of the characters in the movie were characters that like I wanted to see more of them in their scenes. Like I love the sister-in-law. I thought she was hilarious.
Yep.
All of the CGI looked great. Like it looked really believable for the most part. Like I couldn't tell. I heard people say that you might have been able to tell in the re-edits where it kind of wasn't maybe done the best the second time around. But I had a really hard time finding anything visually to have a problem with.
I didn't see anything like that. I'm sure we'll see some pictures like that people have snapped. Well, after the fact, obviously not while it's in theaters, potentially, where you'll see where it was kind of like that issue where, hey, you know, they didn't do a great job transitioning this from the old design to the new one. I can see that potentially happening. What I really want, though, is an extended edition of this.
With the original cut?
No, God, no.
I want to see those teeth. I want to see those teeth in all of those scenes.
So
There's weird Ratman Sonic.
So when we it's like Master Splinter had a baby with Sonic.
Yeah.
So when we went ahead and saw the movie, we got home and my wife's like, "Oh, well, why was everybody freaking out about the movie? She didn't know the background of it." I'm like, "Do you not listen to our episodes anymore?" And apparently she skipped a bunch. And so, yeah, I went ahead and chatted with her on it. And she's like, "Oh, I don't know what the difference is." So I showed her the side by sides. She's like, "It doesn't look that bad." I'm like, "No, like, look closer."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I can see why it looked bad. Why does he have teeth? I'm like, who knows? Who knows why he has teeth? So, yeah, dude, I'm excited to get this on Blu-ray. And hopefully there are some uncut scenes.
Yeah, I hope they add something cool in there.
What did you think of Jim Carrey playing Robotnik?
I've not been the biggest Jim Carrey fan my whole life, but man, he was outstanding in this. Like, and especially like that little snippet at the end of him was fantastic. Like, he owned every scene and he was tremendous. And like, of all the takes on Robotnik that I've seen, you know, through other playthroughs of games and stuff, like, he was so like believable as Dr. Robotnik, but existing in like a realistic setting. Like, I like how his mind kind of worked in this.
Well, so outside of like the TV show, in the games, you don't really get like this viewpoint into this, you know, Eggman or Robotnik and like what he does when he's not, you know, in his little, you know, space thing, like chasing down Sonic and trying to kill him. So, you know, you never see all that. But when they were in the bus and he starts dancing and he's got the music going, I'm like, I could totally see this being like what Robotnik does on the side, you know, when he's not around Sonic, like when he's plotting. Like, that's what an evil genius would do at that point.
Yeah, I'm always surprised at Sonic's ability to take the community in these very strange directions and just like, all right, we're gonna make some really, really awful games for a long time, and just everybody eats it up, and then we'll make we both got Sonic Forces.
Yeah,
I got it after I went and saw this because I was checking the PlayStation store and I was like, oh, it's then, and I was like, I'm totally excited to play that game. Like, I know that it's not that great of a
It's probably
game,
gonna be straight trash.
but people really enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, I'm on board with the Sonic hype train now. Like, I'm not going to play all the Sonic games or anything, but like, I'm on board at least for the Sonic cinematic universe.
You do still need to see the Dragon Quest movie, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, check that one out. I think you'll like it. And a Ni no Kuni movie, I saw that too.
Yeah.
We had talked about that on like
couple
episode
episodes
55 or 60. I don't when it was first announced to be coming to the US. That was
Okay.
good too. So that's 3 gaming movies that I've seen in the last month, and they've all been great. But I would have to say that with this Sonic movie, I'm hoping to come out with another one here in the next few years. I think they will.
Yeah.
The reception
they
of
have
it,
to at this point.
yeah, so the critic reception was actually not that great, but who cares about the critics? The reception from the fans was actually pretty good. If you want like Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic and all that, the reviews from last time I saw were actually pretty high, which
Yeah,
is
it's
good.
killing it.
Yeah, which is awesome. So that's a kudos to the studio for actually listening to the fans and putting out the product that the fans wanted to see, and I think it worked out.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
all right.
back in November 1996, we got a much different Sonic. We got Sonic 3D Blast for the Sega Saturn, and this was a big change in the Sonic format, and it was made by Traveler's Tales and Sonic Team, published by Sega, directed by Takao Miyoshi, and it did not do too great. It got high 60s, low 70s. We played it for a little bit today, and I think that it was okay. I'm not a big Sonic fan, like I said earlier. I do think that the perspective in the game is different. Like, it's very different looking at this game than playing it. Feels great when you're playing it. Like, the controls are responsive and good. It doesn't look as janky playing as I feel like it looks like from a distance.
Yeah, I would agree with you, man. So the overall feel of this game was right. Like I honestly prefer it over the 2D side-scrolling type Sonic. It just feels like a better game in my mind. You have the overall concept, obviously, from what we played in a little bit of time we played, was collecting birds and then going to like the different portals to go through the level, right? And then finally ending, I think it was Act 3 was Robotnik, if I'm correct. So yeah, I mean, I felt it was great. I liked the controls. The music was pretty good. We jumped
The music
into
was jamming.
Yeah, we went into the second world just to kind of check it out. And the music was pretty good on that. The enemies changed up just enough to where it was, you know, the same feel, but it was a different look. And I liked it, dude. I think I want to give the Sega Genesis version a try at some point and see how it compares.
It's very weird. So looking at the reviews for this game on the wiki, they're kind of all over the place, and some people only did the Genesis version for reviews, and others did all 3 versions because it also came out on Windows. And some people said the Genesis version was better. Some people said the Saturn version was better. So, you know, maybe we'll get to try this one out again later at some point and be able to compare and contrast the two. But for the most part, you know, not being a big Sonic fan, but thinking that it's an okay game. When we get down to the actual prices here, I don't know.
So price-wise, we're looking at the most expensive version is the Sega Saturn Complete. Thankfully, I got that complete. And the cheapest version is a Sega Genesis loose copy at $782. So complete in box, you're looking at for the Saturn $40, and it peaked back in January actually at 44, close to 45, and it's been going up for the last several years. And then the loose copy is $21.75, peaked actually last month at 22, so not too far off. And that one's also trending up in terms of pricing. So, you know, looking at this and where it's going, if you're wanting to collect Saturn games, you're probably going to want to hop on this right now if you really need to have this in your collection. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily a must-play on the Saturn when you could pick it up on, you know, a PC version, or you could pick up a Genesis copy.
Yeah, that Genesis copy, I would be interested to see how much different that version of the game is, because from my perspective, I think that I'd be willing to pay that lower price. Like $8 for a Genesis copy sounds way better to me than $20 for a loose Saturn copy.
Well, if the graphics are better and it controls better, I would say go with a loose Saturn copy. If you can find it for $20, I always look at it from modern day stuff, right? If this game was released today, would it be $20? Probably. And would it be worth it at $20? Probably. I still wouldn't pay $21, and I definitely wouldn't pay $40 right now for this game complete. But I would say that, from the time that we played it today and the experience that we had, I would say it's worth at least giving it a shot. If not on the Saturn, play it on the Genesis.
And I do like these, the Saturn, like the tall box. Like, it's a nice looking case.
Yeah, like to collect those is, I love my Saturn collection a little bit. I have just because of those cases. Same with the Sega CD. It's got that same style, which I think I have a Sonic game over there on Sega CD we can give a shot at. I think it's Sonic Spin or something. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I got some different games. All right, so where are you at on this, man? Are you on inflated or deflated?
I'm gonna call it inflated, especially since it seems like it's really kind of shot up just at the beginning of this year. Like, I'm wondering if that's not tied to some of this hype for the Sonic movie and stuff. We've looked before at games that have been released around, a time where it seems like they might be trending, like with Spider-Man and stuff. And it doesn't really always follow a trend like that. But, in this situation, it may have just been one person aggregating that score up because they were excited for the movie and they paid through the nose for it when they shouldn't have.
Well, the other piece of this could be it's just a Saturn game, and Saturn games for whatever reason are now spiking in price. Like, that's just what they're going at. Like, all the Sega games for some reason are increasing in value, and it sucks because I love collecting Sega games. I love picking up new titles, but they're all over the place nowadays. So I think I would attribute it to more of that. Just the Saturn collections are going up in value, and overall, good controls, good music. Obviously it's Sonic. You've got that nice kind of rhythm going at the game, and the overall concept of collecting the birds so far from what we saw and all of that, it does play nicely.
It gives it much more of a different feel than just the get from A to B.
Yeah, exactly. It does do that for you. I would still say though, $40 inflated, $20 loose. Still inflated. It's, if you can get on the Saturn or the Genesis, go ahead.
$15.
Yeah, $15. You'd be doing pretty good on a loose copy.
$20 for a complete copy.
I'd probably say 25.
25?
Yeah, 25 complete in box. If you can pick it up for that, it's worth it. So right now, though, no, not at all. So we didn't pick out a game for next week. I'm actually kind of tempted. What how are we done on Wii U games? We've only done like one or two, right? Because I just got that NES Remix.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's check out some NES Remix.
Yeah, like that's a super cheap game right now. I think $15 at GameStop. And it's got like all the classics kind of re-envisioned or remixed. So I think that'll be pretty cool.
There we go.
All right, so NES Remix next week. We didn't say it earlier, but catch us on social media and podcast applications everywhere. So you've got Twitter at Game Deflators, which I did mention, Twitter at The Game Deflators, and then you have Facebook at
you
The
said
Game
Twitter
Deflators.
Twice.
I said Twitter twice. Sorry. Damn it, dude. Facebook. At The Game Deflators.
Instagram.
And
anywhere
at The Game
else on the
Deflators.
internet.
Twitter.
The Game Deflators.
Exactly. So we got that, and then Podbean, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Play, everywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us. And if you don't find us, you let us know, and you leave a 5-star review.
Yeah, let us know what you think about the podcast. Let us know what you thought about the Final Fantasy VII demo. Let us know what you thought about Sonic the movie, and let us know
if you're going to spend $240 over its lifetime for Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been episode 70 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name is John.
I'm Ryan.
And thank you for listening.